Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about mass analyzers. So this is one of the important component of mass spectrometer. So in mass spectrometry, we convert the molecule into the ionic form, and then these ions are sorted based upon their mass to charge ratio by mass analyzers, and these are then finally detected. So there are different kinds of mass analyzers. First is magnetic sector, which is also called as a single focusing mass spectrometer. Second, we have double focusing, which is a combination of electrostatic analyzer and a magnetic sector. Third, we have quadrupole. Fourth is time of flight. Fifth is ion trap or orbit trap. And finally, we have FTMS, which is based on ion cyclotron resonance. First, we'll study magnetic sector kind of instrument. So in magnetic sector, as the name indicates, we are going to use magnetic field to sort ions based upon their mass to charge ratio. So this is a schematic of magnetic sector instrument. So here we have first ionization region wherein the molecule is being converted into ionic form. So we can convert it into either positively charged or negatively charged ions. So here we have converted it into positively charged ions, and then we are going to apply an accelerating voltage on the plates A and B so that the ions will get their final velocity and direction. So the kinetic energy or translational energy acquired by the molecule is being given by 1/2 mv square, where m is mass of the molecule and v is the velocity of molecule, which is also equal to ZeV. So wherein Z is the charge on the molecule, is electronic charge, and V is the accelerating voltage. So this equation implies if we are keeping accelerating voltage fixed, and if there is a same charge on different molecules, so generally we have a unit charge common to different molecules. In this case, the kinetic energy of all the molecules will be same. So although we have here different kinds of analytes, we are going to give same kinetic energy to those molecules. So this kinetic energy, as we've seen, is also equal to 1/2 mv square. So mass of the all molecules is not same. So naturally the velocity of the molecules will not be same. If there is increase in the mass, velocity will be less. Or if there is decrease in the mass, the velocity will be higher. Means heavy ion is going to move slower and the lighter ion is going to move fast. So this we can see out here. So A is a heavier ion and C is a lighter ion. A is lagging behind while C has traveled fast. So after leaving after leaving the accelerating slits, we can see that there is difference in the velocities of those ions. Now, to sort those ions, what additionally we are going to do is we apply an magnetic field with the help of either an electromagnet or permanent magnet. So when we apply magnetic field onto those ions, these ions are deflected, means their path or trajectory is being changed. In absence of the magnetic field, those ions will travel in a straight line as we do it in time of flight kind of instruments. In magnetic sector, we have applied an magnetic field and hence the trajectory will be changed from the straight line to the curved path. Now the curvature of this path, which is also given by R, it is dependent upon what is the mass of the ion. If the mass of the ion is higher, in that case, it will be deflected less. So if we can see here, A is the heavier ion and hence it is been deflected least, while C is the lightest ion and hence it is deflected most. Both of the ions are being lost in the analyzer itself, while B with a medium mass is going to make its journey to the detector. So it's finally leaving the slit and it is then falling onto the detector. So some of the magnetic detector instruments, they can use multi-channel kind of detectors. So all those ions can be measured simultaneously. At this particular point, here we can measure only B while A and C will be lost. Now, if you want to bring A and C to the focus, so naturally the magnetic field has to be varied. If you want to have A reaching at this point, so naturally the curvature has to be increased. So we apply more of the magnetic field. So if we increase the magnetic field, A will be deflected now here, B and C will be deflected still more, and they will be lost. So we can make A reaching out here. If you want to have C reaching out at this point, naturally we have to apply the least magnetic field. Okay, using this kind of magnetic sector instrument, we can sort these different kinds of ions. Now, when those ions leave the ionization region, here we are applying an external magnetic field. So magnetic force will start acting onto it, and in a same way there will be centrifugal force acting onto those ions. So these two are balanced, and finally we get an equation: m by z is equal to b square r square into E divided by 2v, wherein B is the magnetic field, R is the radius, and V is the accelerating voltage. So on these three factors, m by z value is dependent on. So we can either vary B, we can vary R, or we can vary V, so that different ions can be brought to the focus. Generally, as I've explained, we try to change the magnetic field. So if you change the magnetic field, different ions can be brought to the focus. But we have other options also. We can change the radius, and we can change the accelerating voltage also gradually, so that those different ions could be brought to the focus. So this is what the way the magnetic sector instrument works on. This is also called as single focusing instrument. We have the second kind of instrument, which is called as double focusing mass analyzer. Now this double focusing mass analyzer uses a combination of magnetic sector, as we have seen it in first case, single focusing mass analyzer. In addition to that, what we use is a electrostatic analyzer. Now there are certain lacunas associated with single focusing or magnetic sector instruments. So in magnetic sector instrument, what we have seen is the kinetic energy of all the molecules, irrespective of their masses, is going to be same. Now, this is not true. There are certain deviations. Now, what is going to happen exactly? So if you see out here, this is your ionization region. So it has defined space. So if you have a mixture of A and B to be ionized and sorted, so these are being ionized in this particular region. So A is being ionized far away from the accelerating slit, while this A is very close to that of the accelerating slit. So the ion which is very close to that of accelerating slit is being accelerated highest in comparison to ions which are far away from accelerating slits. So naturally, this ion is going to have higher kinetic energy in comparison to the ions which are far away from that of accelerating slit. So this is first reason which is going to result in a kinetic energy spread. So ideally, we need the molecules with the same kinetic energy, but this is not happening. We have the molecules with different kinetic energies, and the first factor responsible for this is the position wherein the ion is being formed. The second reason is Boltzmann distribution. So initially, when the molecules arrive in the ionization region itself, they don't have the same kinetic energy. Their kinetic energy itself is different. So naturally, this is the second factor which is going to give rise to kinetic energy spread. Third factor is unhomogeneous electric field which has been applied out here. Ideally, we need a uniform, homogeneous electric field. But if there are going to be some variations out there, naturally the ions are going to have difference in their kinetic energies. So these are three reasons due to which kinetic aberration or kinetic energy spread is there. Okay, so what is this? Is in single focusing instrument, we have assumed that the kinetic energy of all molecules is same. But as we can see out here, it is not same. There is a little bit difference in the kinetic energies of the ions. So naturally, if these ions are leaving the ionization region, ideally they should all travel as a packet. But what you can see out here, that some of the A's are traveling with a little bit higher speed in comparison to the A's which are here lagging behind. So this, we call this as a kinetic abrasion. While there is also little bit difference in the direction of the ions. Ideally, the ions should travel in the same direction, but this is not the case. As per Boltzmann distribution, there is little bit difference in the direction of those all ions also. So naturally, the second abrasion, which is called as directional abrasion, this has been taken care of by the magnetic sector kind of instrument. So my magnetic sector kind of instrument or single focusing instrument can correct for the directional abrasion, but they cannot correct kinetic abrasion. So as to correct the kinetic abrasion, naturally we have to use electrostatic analyzer. So in double focusing mass analyzers, we are using a combination of electrostatic analyzer and a magnetic sector. So this is the arrangement of double focusing mass spectrometers. So this is first part, which is a electrostatic analyzer followed by a magnetic sector. So you can have magnetic sector first followed by electrostatic analyzer. So in this arrangement, we can see that the ions are leaving the ion source, and there is a kinetic energy spread. The ions have different kinetic energies. Now, the ions which have higher kinetic energy will strike off the upper plate, while the ions which have less than that of the average energy will strike off the lower plate. Now, this is the number of ions with less and higher energy are really less in number. So as per your Gaussian's curve, you can assume that there are only few ions with higher energy and few ions with a lower energy. But electrostatic analyzer is going to remove them, and we are going to have the packet of ions with the same kinetic energy. So these ions now will travel through the electrostatic analyzer. Now, electrostatic analyzer here does not separate the ions based upon their mass to charge ratio. So you have all those ions moving collectively with the same kinetic energy. So here we have A plus, B plus, C plus, all those ions traveling. These are not separated by electrostatic analyzer. So these do travel, and they leave the ESA slit. Then they will enter into the magnetic sector kind of instrument. So here in magnetic sector, as we've seen that you have a magnetic force acting upon. So the ions will be deflected depending upon their masses. The heavier ion will be deflected least, and the lighter ion will be deflected most. Now this magnetic sector also will take care of directional abrasion, and they will brought to the focus. All those ions will be brought to the focus. So this is the energy focal plane for your electrostatic analyzer, and this is your directional focal plane for magnetic sector instrument. So this is the position wherein we are going to keep ion collector. This is point of double focus. Okay, so here we are going to collect all ions, and the number of ions present in per packet will give us the intensity of a peak. So this is the way the double focusing instrument will work on, and it is going to have more resolving power in comparison to the single focusing kind of instrument. So this is the diagram for the double focusing kind of instrument. So here we have a reverse arrangement: ion source followed by the magnetic sector, and then we have an electrostatic analyzer, and finally we have your Faraday's cup or secondary electron multiplier as a detector. The third kind of mass analyzer is quadrupole mass analyzer, or it is also called as mass filter. So as the name implies, it's a quadrupole. It consists of 4 poles. And here we can see some waveform in a red and in a blue. So it red has been showing the trajectory which is stable, and blue is been showing the trajectory which is unstable. So here blue is been showing unstable, means it's those all ions are going to be lost into the analyzer itself. They will collide onto its wall, while the ion which has a stable trajectory is going to travel through the quadrupole, and it will finally hit the detector. So we'll see how this quadrupole works on. So as I've said, there are four hyperbolic cylindrical poles. So onto those poles, what we do is we apply uh, AC or RF voltage, so which is going to have higher magnitude. At the same time, we also apply an DC voltage of lower magnitude. So uh, here we can see on one pair of rod, we are applying a positive DC voltage, while on the second player opposite facing, we are going to apply a negative DC voltage. Okay, now this is positive DC voltage. The polarity doesn't change. Means if it is we are applying a positive potential, its potential is going to remain positive. It doesn't change. While on another pair, if you have applied a negative potential, it's going to remain negative polarity itself. We are not going to change this polarity. Now, across this pair, you can imagine if we pass the ions which are positively charged, so naturally these will be repelled by the positively charged rods, and there will be converging motion, means they will try to maintain their trajectory or path to the center of those rods. While if we take another pair, in this case we have applied a negative potential, so naturally those ions will be attracted by those rods, and there will be diverging motion, okay, away from the center. So what you see, we are at the same time we are using a combination of those all four rods. Okay, so in one plane we are going to have an converging motion. So ultimately all heavy ions can make their journey through. If we use only one pair, only heavy ions can pass through it. If you use another pair, in that case only lighter ions can pass through, as heavy ions will go and collide onto the walls. Okay, so under this is the case under the influence of DC voltage. So as I've said, we apply DC voltage which with the opposite polarities. Now here we have one positive pair and another negative pair. The polarity of it is not changing. At the same time, onto those rods, we are also applying an RF or AC voltage. Now, the AC voltage magnitude as well as the polarity will go on changing. Now, this is the pair wherein we have shown that there is one pair is been shown wherein we have a negative voltage at one instance, and it's been changed to positive, again to negative, again to positive. Now, what happens out here is when the AC voltage is negative, due to this AC voltage, the lighter ions can be deflected very easily. Heavy ions are very difficult to deflect. They will be deflected a little bit, but the lighter ions will be under the control of AC voltage. So what is going to happen? D is lighter ion out here. So it's going to travel, it will converge under negative polarity. At the next instance, it will turn out to be positive. So it will again undergo converging motion, again a diverging motion, and again a converging motion. So it's going to derive a waveform. Okay, so in this manner, it will spiral around, and ultimately what we'll see is, um, as in the first case we have seen, whenever we have a positive pair, only heavy ions are being allowed to pass. So when you see the plot here, the lighter ions are not allowed to pass, only heavy ions are being allowed to pass when we have only one pair of rod. Second pair of rod, we can see that the lighter ions are being only allowed to pass. So under this condition, under negative DC potential, what is happening is only lighter ions. So this is transmission versus M by Z value. So this is your lighter ion, lighter mass. So this is lighter ion is allowed to pass, while the heavy ion is not allowed to pass. Okay. Here in this case, the lighter ions are blocked and only heavy ions are allowed to pass. So if you take the superimposition of these two, as we are using all four rods, So naturally what you'll see, the superimposition of these two is going to pass to the detector. So only this particular mass is allowed to pass to the detector. Okay, but this is not our ultimate aim. We don't want only one mass to pass. We want to sort all those ions, and we want um, those different ions at different time to reach to the detector. So as to do this, what you do is uh, we gradually change the amplitude of DC as well as AC voltage. So this is a potential, your DC potential, which has been shown as U, and this is a radio frequency or AC voltage which is been shown as V. Okay, as I've said earlier, the value of DC potential is less, while that of the AC potential is very high. So this is approximately 6 times higher than that of the DC potential. So what has been done? DC potential, as we know now that its polarity doesn't change. We on one pair we apply a positive polarity. So this is the case. This is a line which has been showing your positive DC potential. While this line, this continuous bottom line, this indicates a negative DC potential. So on one pair of rod, we have applied a negative DC potential, while on one pair of rod, we have applied a positive DC potential. Okay, so it's been ramping. The value is been gradually increasing from 0 to 250 on one pair, and the another pair 0 to minus 250. Okay, so 0 to minus 250. While on the AC potential, we know that the polarity has to be changed. So on one pair, if we have applied here a positive polarity, in the next cycle, it will turn out negative. In the next one, it will again be positive. In the next one, negative. And the amplitude, you can see that it is also going on increasing. Same way, when one pair is going to have a positive AC potential, the other pair is going to have a negative AC potential. So this is the part negative, then it will turn out to be positive, again it will be negative, again it will be positive. So at any instance, you can see that if one pair is going to have a positive AC potential, the other pair is going to have a negative AC polarity. So here this is the case. Finally, this is a positive AC potential and this is a negative AC potential. The values we have gradually increased. We have increased the value for AC as well as DC voltage. Ultimately, the ratio is being kept closer to 6. Okay, so by changing this amplitude of AC and DC potentials, we can brought um, different M by Z values to the focus, and then they can be measured. So this this quadrupole instrument is very fast. Um, Generally, it is been used along with the chromatographic systems, and it has an unit resolving power. So if you have an masses of 500 and 501, it can resolve them well. But if we have a masses of 500 and say 500.05, less than one mass unit, in that case it is not capable of sorting them off. So um, in the next lecture we will discuss about the remaining three instruments.